This episode of History Saver is brought to you by Addressing Gettysburg. Addressing Gettysburg is a podcast that shares great experiences, quality programs, awesome guests, and is a welcoming community for all who love Gettysburg. So join in with host Matt Callery and find out why Addressing Gettysburg is one of the top-rated podcasts online today. You can find them on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Castbox, Podbean, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, and on Instagram, Facebook, and of course, right here on YouTube. So check out Addressing Gettysburg today, where history is not boring. Thank you to Addressing Gettysburg for sponsoring this video.
You're listening to Addressing Gettysburg.
The Premier and Mrs. Churchill returned from Canada in the same ship in which they went out, the Queen Mary. Our picture shows them leaving by tender after their safe and speedy crossing of the Atlantic. The Queen Mary has in fact one of the greatest of war records, having transported many thousands of troops, notably to the Middle East. Her speedy arrival with reinforcements helped to win the Battle of Alamein. U-boats tried and tried again to get her, but she was too fast for them. And now she's brought back the Prime Minister from his latest victory planning conference with the United States President.
Alright guys, so we are on board the Queen Mary here just outside of Los Angeles, California and Long Beach. And we're going to take a quick look around the ship. I'm not familiar with all of the history of the ship other than it was a cruise liner. It was used during World War II as a transport ship. And there's a lot of famous people that's been on board. And Winston Churchill himself was once here. So let's just get a glimpse of the Queen Mary. You're seeing it as I'm seeing it. And we're just going to kind of experience this little adventure here in Los Angeles together. So I've always wanted to come here. I never thought I'd be standing here. But yeah, let's look around. So this is pretty much one of the top decks of the Queen Mary. One of the most, said to be one of the most haunted ships in the world. I don't know about that, but check out the exhibits here. Pretty nice restaurant set up. And this is walking right outside of the main entrance here. We come in right there and we're just kind of walking through here. The Queen's Salon. So you had a salon here, I guess. And like I said, this ship's got a long history. World War II, it, had guys on board as a transport ship, and then as a cruise liner and different things. So pretty neat to be on here. So I'm looking out the windows of the deck and I see this out of the windows. It's like historic buildings of some kind. I'm not for sure what it is, but yeah, pretty cool. So we're gonna go up to the sun deck, kind of see what we can see here. So this is the very top deck of the Queen Mary. Holy bananas. So like I said, I'm not really for sure about the entire history of the ship, but I will say, as you look behind me, this thing is quite fascinating. It definitely has a long history. It looks a lot like the Titanic in a way. That's kind of, I think, what was the intention here. Again, I don't know the whole history behind the Queen Mary. I'm no expert on this ship, but I have seen it on numerous TV shows, and you know, with the stories of ghosts and things that's on here. And, you know, in the history with World War II, I found it quite interesting. But yeah, this thing is massive. Well, this is the top deck of the ship, and it makes the battleships I've been on look like a baby. This is to the promenade deck. Really cool. Let's go back down. Back on the main deck now. It is quite expensive to get on this ship. I paid $45 just to come on, which I really wanted to do that. I really wanted to see it. I've always wanted to see it, so I paid it. But this is to the radio room, wireless room, bridge, officers' quarters. Let's go up and have a look. A lot of steps here. Again, you're seeing the Queen Mary for the first time like I am, so I don't know enough information about the ship to tell you a whole lot. There's the lifeboats. No doubt the original lifeboats to the ship. And we're going there in a second, but let's go up to the bridge. Getting a workout in LA this morning. Awesome. So that's the bow of the Queen Mary there. And this is the bridge. And then the bridge, like we've seen on battleships, is where you operate the ship, drive the ship. And it's pretty neat to see that here. This is for your ropes on your bow and different controls of the ship here. So pretty cool. So this is basically what your bridge of a ship would have looked like. You got a stone system that's basically going to control all of the doors on the ship. And it says there's 38 doors that can be closed hydraulically. I can't talk, I'm out of breath. But they can be closed in less than 1 minute. And they would provide protection if the ship becomes flooded. And here's your stone system operation there. And then this tells you where all the doors are. So pretty cool. Flag stowage here, and then these are for your signals, for if your ship was up under stress, if you were in danger of going down or hit an iceberg like the Titanic did. Well, this is something you can use to signal that. And then your phone system, communication system here, which was very important to any ship, still is. and it also controlled the PA systems to all the passenger areas. And during World War II, of course, served military purposes. This is a ship stabilizer, and there were 4 98-ton stabilizer units on here in 1958 that were installed, and they helped control the ship in heavy weather. So if you're in rough weather, that would be key. And then kind of a quarters here, and a meeting room, mount charting room, and then some cool relics here for you to take a look at. This is New York Harbor, the lower bay. And this is a voyage of the Queen Mary in 1936, which was her maiden voyage that lasted May 27th to June the 1st of 1936. And then another quarters here, or office. You can see the guys worked and slept right in the same room here. So they didn't get too far away from their work area and where they were assigned to. Now if we walk out here, back into the bridge, you're going to have everything you need to control and drive the ship. Your clear view screen, your steering telegraph, your helm, which is your ship's wheel, a binnacle for your compass, an automatic pilot that would help automatically drive the ship, and the engine telegraph. And pretty cool. The staff here for the Queen Mary has been outstanding, and we've come a long way to see this. So we need to find some history here in Los Angeles. And yes, I did find a fort here in Los Angeles. Even at LA, I can find forts all over the world. So we were successful here. So the streak continues. But this is really neat. Part of the Queen Mary you've got to see when you come. If you do not, well, you're not doing yourself any justice. So pretty cool. We are now headed back down from the bridge of the ship here on the Queen Mary, and we're going to slowly make our way to the engine room while seeing everything we can on the way. So let's do that now. So this is the captain's bedroom. This is where your captain is going to sleep, and he's going to be running here, a little bit bigger than a hotel room. And then you have the uniforms: first officer, second officer, junior second officer, the red ensign or red duster, which identifies the ship as a British merchant ship, part of the registry, and then the blue ensign, which is used to identify this as a British merchant ship whose captain is an officer in the Royal Navy Reserve. Now this ship was built by the same company that built the Titanic, hence is why it has so many similarities to the Titanic. But this ship is actually twice as big as the Titanic. It could fit the Titanic probably on the ship or inside of the ship. This ship is a lot bigger than the Titanic was. But we can learn a lot about the Titanic just from this ship alone. And you can see the amenities that was even on board this one. This is the captain's day room. This is where he would spend his days at. You've got a desk, a nice little china cabinet. You've got maybe his spirit racks here, sofas, place for him just to kind of relax. And then right next to him is going to be your staff captain, the second in command of the ship. He was basically an administrative officer, ensured the carrying out of duties. His bedroom is right there, and then his little small day room space is right here. And he would be responsible for all overall operations. You have their bathroom, which is here. You can see a tub, a toilet, a sink. Very nice amenities for the time frame. And then this is going to be your chief engineer's quarters right next to him. This is the guy that's responsible for all the maintenance on the ship, the engine room, everything associated with that. And then You've got his uniforms here. We're gonna go around the corner, get another look at his room here. And that is his bed. Let's get out the window so you can see his bed, his sink, you know, different things in there for him. Sorry, the glare on the windows are pretty bad here. But yeah, this is a look inside of the quarters, and all of this would have been different rooms and quarters in here. And then we're going to actually walk right here, I guess, and see where this takes us. Not really 100% sure. This is a huge ship. This is the Captain Stewart. They're restoring this. This is a Stewart's pantry. So this is where you get your morning coffee, you know, kind of deal at. And then, let's see, just more rooms here. And then we're back out on the deck. Let's continue on. We're really walking to the belly of the ship now. And as you come in, there's a 4D gator. And we're going in to see the propeller box of the ship. Wow. Pretty eerie down here. So again, we're going to the engine room portion. Holy bananas. Look at this wrench. That is a nut wrench to secure the propeller. So this is basically your components of the ship. Oh, dear land. That is the propeller of the Queen Mary. This is absolutely just nuts. Then as you walk through the Queen Mary, you've got more pieces of the propellers here. Now in 1945 in February, this ship, as you can imagine these being on the propeller in February of 1945, it's going to go from New York to Glasgow, and they're going to make a zigzag route to avoid German U-boats. And it made for sleep. The men that was sleeping on the decks here, it made for a terrible sleep. They're going to go back and forth. They had their mess hall that's going to be converted into a swimming pool from things spilling and different things. And they were 5 high in bunks, and they had 15 men in one stateroom. So during World War II in 45, this ship was going to be just overrun with just men. And according to this propeller box we just looked at is going to contain still approximately 200,000 gallons of water. Wow. It weighs 35 tons and measures 18 feet from the tip to the tip. Wow, pretty neat. And then we're going to walk through and see the engine decks, or the engine rooms here. And then as you walk through, they've got all kinds of accounts here. My sailing in the Queen Mary was early in 1945. I was a private in the U.S. Army, being shipped overseas as an infantry replacement rather. I was bunked in the lower deck swimming pool, which had been drained, of course, and was fitted with bunk beds. I remember being told there was some 14,000 personnel on board for that sailing the routes from New York to the North Sea in Glasgow, Scotland. One day out, we encountered a severe winter storm with waves so huge they seemed determined to sink the Queen. The storm lasted for 3 days. We were fed 2 meals a day. Soldiers were issued large colored buttons, red, white, or blue, and they were used to determine which mess hall was authorized. Due to the severe storm, eating hardly seemed worthwhile because many soldiers were so sick the child didn't stay down. And he remembers that they had most mornings hard-boiled eggs and oatmeal, and then in the evening, as addition to other foods, they were featured cream of tomato soup and saltines. So doesn't seem like they got too good of meals on this luxury ship that they were being carried on, but they were overrun with personnel. And this is your engine room of the ship. This is the heart and soul of the Queen. And wow, so cool. You can see the controls here, and then all of your boilers. And this is a 250 horsepower electric motor. So I'm not familiar with all of ship drivetrains and things like that goes into a ship. This is a hydraulic cylinder. It says this is a steering ram. So I'm learning along with you guys because I don't know a whole lot about this stuff myself when it comes to these Navy vessels. I mean, just look at these. I guess this is pistons. I don't really know. I think it's pistons, but holy cow. Another steering ram here. So it had 2 of these apparently. And then more electric trim motors here. I guess ELF trim motors. I don't know if this, well, I'm sure it's not electric. 250 horsepower though. This is the steering gear mechanical switchboard. That's a lot of switches and stuff. I mean, it's a lot. And then communications, take it, this is some form of communication, maybe a firebox. Running. Stop. I guess to tell them the engine's running or not. And then we're going to continue back the way we just come to continue the exhibit. Looks like we have a little museum set up here. Maybe let's take a look at this. And then we're going to go up, look at a few more things, and then we got to get out of here because I'm really pressed for time. But I'm just happy to be here and see it. Yeah, so still in the history of the ship, all the way to 1966 and today. 1945, Germany surrenders on May 8th. So you have May 8th, 1945, Germany. It's going to be VE Day. And then Churchill's Conservative Party loses power. Churchill resigns as Prime Minister. 1944, Operation Overlord begins, June 6, 1944. We know it as D-Day. And the Queen Mary is going to carry Winston Churchill and the War Cabinet to the Octagon Conference in Quebec, Canada, where plans are made for post-war Europe. And this ship makes 30 trips carrying troops across the Atlantic. 1943, the Queen Mary is going to carry 15,740 American soldiers and 943 crew members from New York to Scotland. That's a total of 16,683 men. And it's also going to carry Winston Churchill and the War Cabinet to the Trident Conference in Washington, D.C., where they are planning for Operation Overlord or D-Day, the invasion of Europe. And she's going to make about 30 trips carrying troops across the Atlantic, returning with wounded soldiers and prisoners of war. And then it's going to transport Winston Churchill and the War Cabinet to the Quadrant Conference in Quebec. So Winston Churchill is going to see this ship a lot. And it goes on all the way to its beginning here in 1871 when Winston Churchill is going to be born. 1881 to 1900, he's talking about Churchill serving in Cuba as a war correspondent. 1896, he's going to begin as a young officer in the British Army in India. 1898, he's going to be captured in a prison in South Africa. So this is talking about Churchill. And then it's going to talk about this ship sailing on her first voyage from Southampton, England in 1936, where it's going to go on with a service through World War II and as a cruise liner. So these are some of Churchill's mementos. Look at this, Prime Minister with the seal of the King. Oh man, that is so cool to see in person. See Prime Minister on the side. I don't see Winston Churchill on here anywhere, but these are going to be his pen sets. Or these boxes are going to contain those classified documents. So we're going to continue on to some items here. Let's see. This is some of his Cuban cigars. You can see pictures of him with a cigar usually. And this is a humidifier he would store his cigars in. This is some books here. This is some books by Winston Churchill. Some of his memoirs. And then some articles of war you may have saw on the ship. Gas mask, entrenching shovel. Some guides here about going back to civilian life. Some of the uniforms, the helmets, the prayer books that they were issued, a life jacket from here at the Queen Mary, bunk beds that they would have slept on. I mean, just so many things here. And then we were just talking about the chow. Well, this is some of the chow plates the soldiers would have had on board, and a canteen. There is a bar of soap there. So pretty cool. All kinds of neat things here. So yeah, I'm interested to see, more history about the ship, or read up on this place now. This is what it would have looked like when Churchill would have been on the ship with his war cabinet, and them doing planning for these conferences, and the rooms that they would have all of these discussions, pivotal to the history of. There's a lot of history that's going to take on board this ship, and then some other items. Now, Churchill wrote about the ship. We lived in the utmost comfort on board her with a diet of pre-war times, and this is some of the fine china and crystal and things that they may have had during their time here on board the ship. Pretty neat to see that. And we're continuing on here. Here's a look at maybe the cabinet room here, the bedroom where they slept and worked at the same time. Pretty cool. The cabinet rooms right here where they're going to meet, and they're going to talk about everything that's going to happen here. And this is his chair. This is Winston Churchill's chair, and his scratch marks in the arm of the chair. Let's see if I can't get you a good visual of it here. But it just shows how nervous and tense these meetings were. And this cabinet room was often filled with smoke from the cigar smoke of Winston Churchill. He's stressed out. He's making all of this planning that's going to change the course of Britain and of America as well. So it's stressful. And this is the Navy League map of the British Empire. So cool. British history really, really interests me. So this is really neat to see. And then you've got some other displays here of what it looked like down here. The planning that's going on for the war. In France, St. Malo, there's Berlin, Hamburg, and then some more maps here. No doubt probably original maps here that were used during that planning. And this is the closest I've ever been to like this kind of stuff overseas. So it's pretty cool to see this. You've got the phones here all lined up, taking calls from different people. You've got maps of Belgium here, getting ready for Operation Overlord. And just the planning process, how much preparation went into this is just astonishing. You've got some message receipts here. And there's so many things here you have got to see. This is so cool to see. And man, it's fun to be sharing this with you guys as I see it for the first time. Yeah, here's some more stuff here. Some logs, different things here. So could you imagine the things that went on down here? And it's incredible. There's the door. It says map room, staff only keep shut. I mean, this is very secretive. And Then you've got these huge maps of the North Sea, North Atlantic Ocean, and just all the planning that's taking place. I mean, just check it out. I mean, this is you know, a very historic thing. I mean, this is probably one of the most historic places for World War II, with Winston Churchill being on board the ship. And I didn't know all this history myself about the Queen Mary. I knew it was used. I knew Winston Churchill was here, but I didn't know to what capacity, really. And you can see that displayed here for yourself. Here's a machine gun and some more films of planes here. This is astounding. We're gonna walk up the stairs and take a look at some other stuff here on the board the Queen Mary. Okay, I thought we saw the engine room, but holy bananas, is huge. It's even bigger than what we saw. And this is a look at the engine room on board the Queen Mary. It is absolutely massive. Massive. This is just absolutely nuts. I can't even tell you what you're looking at because I don't know myself other than what's on the placards here. Some of you guys probably know a lot better than I do about ship operation. And if you do, well, this is your cup of tea, most definitely. Let's walk down here. You could go down a lot further than this into the abyss of the engine room. I don't think I'm going to do that just because I've got more I want to see. And there's a good overhead view of it here. But this is just massive. All right, so that is a little bit, and I mean a very tiny bit, of the Queen Mary. And it's a lot of walking, a lot of stairs. We're gonna get out of here. And we're gonna continue to the next place. But I know, I didn't show you a whole heck of a lot here. And well, as you can tell, it's massive. So until next time, guys, keep preserving history, stay safe. Come see this ship for yourself. You won't regret it. I've got a lot to do. I have got to go, but we will be back one day. So had a jolly good time on the Queen Mary, and now I'm going to grab a cup of tea because I've earned it. See you on the next one.